She builds a cabin one log at a time. The cowboy at the fence is a widower who wants a home. Montana Territory, early November 1881. Snow grips the pines. Light fades fast. Cold cuts through cloth. A half-raised wall leans under gusts. A young blonde woman lifts a rough pine round to a saddle notch. Breath feathers white. Palms raw. Nails bite wood. A hoof thuds beyond the clearing. A tall rider sits a bay at the split rail. Hat brim low. Voice even. No rush. No pose. "Miss, I took this place for dead." Her hammer stills. It lives now. He holds the reins loose. Name is Clayton Hartwell. Circle H, 10 miles north. She keeps her weight to the log. Eleanor Sullivan. This ground is mine. I carry no claim. He steps down slow. He stays outside the gate. Wind lifts his coat hem. The boy on the pony behind him pipes up with a crack of courage. Ma says do not leave her in a blow. She will freeze. Eleanor does not blink. Your ma does not know me. Clayton gives the boy a touch of the brim. Ride home slow. Tell your ma the fence holds. The boy wheels off. Eleanor sets the log true. Pain rises low under her ribs. She hides it. If you came for talk, take it west. Clayton studies the wall. He studies her grip. I came for truth. She raises the hammer. Truth is work. Steel rings. Snow hisses off spruce. He backs a step. You lift a house plus a child. That is 2 loads. 2 loads. 1 life. She turns to fetch another round. He does not cross her line. If a gust hits after dusk, call toward the fence. I will hear. She says nothing. The bay paws frost. Clayton swings up. He rides the line of jack pine. No show. No vow. Just a look that marks the place. Eleanor leans to the log face. A drop of pine sap gleams. Hope pricks like a thorn. She rubs it off her palm. She goes back to work. Light holds thin over white ground. A saw bites in slow strokes. A throb runs her lower back. She lays a short course. She sets chinking with a stick from the cook fire. No warm outer wrap. Just a plain blue-gray dress pulled tight at the waist. Hair bright as straw under a wool kerchief that covers nothing of the cold. Dawn brings rime on the rail. Hoof beats again. She grips the hammer. Clayton steps from the trees with no boy this time. He carries a lidded tin, plus a small bundle tied in check. He stops at the stump. Tea for queasy hours. Knit shirts from my mother. Eleanor watches the steam from the tin slip into air. I asked for no gift. Receipt not required. He lowers his gaze to the peg holes. She cuts straight by eye. Square as a carpenter's rule. I learn by failure. She keeps the wall between them. Why come here? Because no one should lift ridge logs alone in a wind. I will. I see that. He eases the bundle to the stump. He does not step closer. If a drift stacks at your door, bank it with brush. It breaks the whistle. She hates the pull in her chest. She hates the relief more. The Circle H must have chores. I rode them at first light. He points with a gloved knuckle to the door frame. Cut your style a touch high. Snow swell will bind the swing. She does not thank him. He does not ask for it. A gust drives sparks low across the ash bed. She moves to kick dirt. He beats the lick of flame with his hat crown, once then lifts off. I will not cross that rail without your say. She stares after him as he fades to fir shadow. The tea smells of mint. The knit shirts glow pale as butter in weak sun. She does not cry. Not yet. She stacks another course. Days fold into labor, saw, lift, set, breathe. Each task crawls yet moves. Trust grows in small pieces like a fence line set post by post. He rides by with salt for her roof hide plus 2 nails of a size she could not find in town. No talk, just quiet help. She cuts leather for a hinge strap. He holds the plank while she drives pegs. She keeps her eyes on the work. He keeps his eyes off her mouth. A tin cup warms near the coals. He sets a water barrel on a sled he built from scrap rails. She drags it to the spring. He does not touch the rope. She likes that. He brings a brace with 1 bit. She drills every hole herself. The first real laugh slips loose when a stubborn notch finally seats. It feels like a thaw. Snow sifts off the eaves of the pines. Noon to dusk stretches thin. She hangs a strip of cloth at the window slot. Light turns it to gold. Town talk rides the freight road. Faces close at the store. A ledger shuts hard when she steps in. A clerk smiles with lips only. She buys nails plus flour. She pays in coin. She walks out slow. Back at the clearing, she meets Clayton at the fence. He has a question in his eyes. She shakes her head once. He nods once. No fix. No fuss. Just a steady look that says, keep going. She keeps going. The first test hits near sundown. Wind knifes through the gap under the ridgeboard. A loose wall starts to sway. A blow could fold the whole side. She feels the child twist low. Panic wants room. She gives it none. She ties a rope over the top round. She heaves her weight into the line. The wall groans. The peg squeals. The knot bites. She cannot hold it long. She calls once toward the fence. The word rips her throat. Line. A shape rises from the dusk like a pine trunk that moves. Clayton vaults the rail with a coil on his shoulder. He takes the rope tail. He sets his feet. Pull. She leans. He leans. The wall quivers. The gust peaks. The rope smokes over bark. The child kicks. Her breath tears. The gust breaks. The wall settles to true. Silence drops hard. Their foreheads press to rough wood from either side. He speaks first. You saved it, not me. She shakes her head. 2 hands. He does not smile. He does not gloat. He sets a brace under the sill. He steps back across the line. He tips the brim. He leaves her with the slack rope pooled like a snake at her boots. She sinks to the ground. Relief hits so heavy it feels like grief. She lets it pass. She gets up. She sets 2 more braces before full dark. Morning brings ice glitter on every twig. Hoof tracks rim the yard. He came in the night. He left a small sack by the door. Inside. A draw knife honed bright. A note in neat block print. No cursive swirl. No flourish. Just work words. For shaving notched cheeks. Eleanor lets her fingers rest on the edge. She thinks of Boston. Silk. Polite rooms. False smiles. She thinks of the man who left her with a legal chain still tight on paper. She thinks of the child within who kicks at dawn, then sleeps till noon. Choice sits on the table like the draw knife. Use it or let it rust. She steps out. She shaves the next notch smooth. Curled ribbons fall. Sun lifts thin. Her shoulders burn. She likes the burn. A wagon clatters near noon. The Kowalskis bring eggs plus a look she knows too well. Pity tasted with fear. They speak of a lady from town with a grip like iron over men with money. They speak of wedding plans for Circle H. They leave fast. Dust hangs in the cold air. Eleanor stands silent till it drops. She goes back to the notch. She keeps the knife true. She will not bend to rumor. She will not bend to fear. The lady arrives 2 days later in a high buggy with matched bays. Frost does not touch her face. Her voice cuts like a blade fresh from a stone. She gives a name built for parlors. She gives a claim with no law behind it. She tells Eleanor to quit this ground, to sell, to head east, to free a man for a match fit for a ballroom. Eleanor rests a palm on her belly. Her voice stays flat. I take no coin from Circle H. I hold no promise from any house. The lady speaks of ruin, of rank, of talk in town. She leaves a scent like violets over cold smoke. Wheels grind ice. Silence returns. Eleanor feels a weight settle that no winter lifts. She eats little that night. No tears, no break. Just a still fear that creeps like black frost. She packs a small wrap of baby cloth to check seams. She oils the draw knife. She sleeps in short bites by the hearthstone set for a fire yet to come. In the first gray light, she hears a knock. Slow, firm. Clayton stands on the sill. Snow dust on his hat. Eyes clear. No flinch. I will not marry that lady. His words drop like axe blows. My father can rage, the town can hiss. I will live where truth lives. Eleanor feels the room tilt. Joy tries to rise. Duty holds it down. You do not know my paper chain. He waits. She tells it. Boston. A name left on a court form with no final stamp. A life that fled before the ink dried. She expects him to step back. He does not. Paper does not define soul. He takes off his gloves. He sets them by the door. He does not touch her. He touches the wall. We will keep building. We will keep clean. Heat blooms in her chest like a coal pushed from ash. She lets it glow. She does not feed it yet. Winter deepens. Work slows. Trust does not. They split rails for a small corral. They set a crude rack for tools. They bake a flat loaf in a skillet that never cools long. He brings a brace of nails when freight runs thin. She trades a pair of linen shirts for glass panes at the store. She carries the panes home like holy things. He sets putty with a knife. She breathes when light passes through clean for the first time. Town talk still pricks like thorns. A ranch hand spits by the hitch rail when she walks by. A clerk lifts price by a penny that was not there last week. She keeps count. She says nothing. A first crisis hits at dusk when the bay throws a shoe on ice by the creek. The horse panics. He rips free. He plunges toward the half-built door. Nails stick out. Splinters point like teeth. Eleanor moves before thought. She grabs a loose rail. She swings it up to block the gap. The bay slams to a stop with a snort that shakes his whole frame. Clayton arrives 2 beats late with a halter. He sees the rail in her hands. He sees the calm in her eyes. His jaw works once. No words come. He takes the lead rope. He rubs the bay between the eyes till the tremble fades. He looks at her across the space that never felt so small. Respect settles like fresh snow over tracked ground. Clean, quiet, real. Snow stacks on the roof logs to a hand's depth. Cold finds every crack. The stoveplate glows like a small sun. The baby moves low with a slow roll at dawn. Eleanor writes a short note to a Boston office in a hand that shakes only once. She seals it with wax she melted in a spoon. She sets the letter in a tin box by the door. The wind moans at the eaves. She sits by the hearthstones with a needle to mend a tear near the hem. Clayton steps in from the yard with a horseshoe he found by the pasture trail. Bent wrong. He holds it up. Still strong. He files the rough edge on the sill. He drills 2 holes. He bolts it to the door as a handle. She runs a finger over cool iron. She sees her life in the curve. Not pretty. Still useful. He pours water from the kettle to a tin cup. He sets it near her hand. No flourish. No claim. Just quiet service. Outside, a line of geese crosses the pale sky toward some place that smells of thaw. Not yet here. Soon. She lifts the cup. Heat moves through her. She looks at the door with its new grip. She looks at him. A truth forms with no rush. No vow. No ring. Love here is proven by chores kept, by rails set straight, by a man who stays when talk tries to push him off the road. She breathes. She lets the coal in her chest brighten. She does not hide it now. Night drops fast over white ground while wind climbs from the river cut till the pines hiss like wire in a gale, and the tin box by the door holds 1 letter with red wax that waits for a road. That is gone under drifts. So Eleanor wakes to a blade of pain low in her belly, then folds a wool blanket over the table, then fills the kettle from the barrel, then coaxes fire till dry shavings take, and steam climbs thin from the spout like a thread that will not break, so the next pain folds her to her knees. Yet she holds breath slow and steady, with dress still on, with no outer wrap, with no plea for help. Only work set in a pattern learned from days that carved her strong and careful. So she lays clean cloth, so she stacks water near the hearth. So she sets the knife. The linen thread the small tin of lard within reach. While outside snow skirls past the doorway slot, and hoofbeats lift from far off, where a rider pushes through a drift near the fence as Clayton leans into the gale, while the bay slips on crust at the ford, with one leg punching through black ice, so he cuts the cinch with his knife, then rolls clear into water that bites to bone, then drags out to mud, then sets his shoulder with a grunt against a stump that will not move, yet gives him something to smash his joint back to place. So he walks one step, then one more with hat rim, a white rim now with coat stiff as board with breath, a ragged saw that still cuts forward. While back at the cabin, a cry shreds the quiet, not fear, but life, a wet small sound that stills wind for a beat. So Eleanor lifts the child to her chest, with skin slick with hair, dark with eyes tight as seeds, and ties the cord neat with linen thread from her kit, then presses the tiny body to her heart, then rocks in short motions through a wave that leaves her hollow yet whole. So the door opens on a shape white from brim to boot top, as steam rolls from wool when heat hits, and Clayton drops to the floor by the stones with breath rough with eyes on the small face at her breast, with a hand that shakes from cold, plus some other force he will not name, till she lets his fingers touch the tiny fist and a grip closes over his knuckle, like a hoof rope gone snug on the first true cast. So he bows his head with no vow, with no speech, only that grip, only his face open for once. Then he strips off his coat and sets it by the door to drip, then feeds 2 splits to the fire with care, like prayer, then cleans the blade, then lays the thread back in the tin, then sets a kettle to fresh boil, while Eleanor drinks from the cup, so salt lines her lips, while she looks at the door where the storm hums like a hive, and she speaks so quiet he must read the shape of the words. We are 3 now, so he nods once, so he pulls a bedroll from the wall, so he lays it by the hearth, so he stays without being told to stay, while the kettle ticks as it cools, while the child sleeps with breath like moth wings, while wind turns from rage to low talk, till night holds like a hand over a flicker that chooses to live. Gray dawn pushes through thin glass with frost webbing the pane like lace made by winter itself, while smoke lifts steady from the tin pipe as Clayton binds his shoulder with a strip torn from an old work shirt, then scrubs the floor where blood dried to a faint flour till boards show clean, then steps outside to split a short rack of wood so steel bites, so chips jump. So a straight rank rises by the door, while Eleanor lies quiet with the child tucked warm in the crook of her arm, with eyes open, with no fear. Now only a weight that feels like purpose that will not shift, so by noon a wagon rattle stirs the yard, and a star pinned to a vest shows first with the sheriff tall in the saddle, while 2 ranch hands from town hold their mounts stiff on the trail, and a lady in a fur collar waits in a sleigh by the spruce, not close yet close enough to bruise pride. So the lawman reads from a sheet that holds fresh ink and words like nuisance and trespass under moral cause crawl into the cold like snakes that hate light. So Eleanor stands straight in a plain dress with sleeves rolled with hair, loose at the neck, and says this cabin is mine, while he lifts the paper and says complaint from a party with stake in the good name of Circle H. So Clayton steps into the door, light with hat in his hand, with eyes clear like sky after squall, and says, Circle H, will not hide behind paper. Then he faces the yard voice, even not loud, carried by cold air to the sleigh. As he says, he broke a match made for rooms with carpets. He chooses this house. He chooses the woman who built it. He chooses the child born here. So the sleigh lady goes still like glass on a pond before a thrown stone, while the lawman lays a palm on the paper as if it burns. So a Kowalski wagon rattles in with 3 neighbors pressed to the seatboard, who climb down slow, who say little, who stand near Eleanor till bodies make a wall thicker than oak, and a boy points at the doorframe. She sets square by eye and says true as church. So the sheriff gaze drops, so the sheet folds, so the sheet slips to his vest, so his mouth lowers to words that fit this ground, no breach of peace, no claim to enforce. Then he looks to the sleigh where the lady stares past him toward a life that is not this yard. So he turns his horse, so hooves crunch cold crust, so wagons shift out, so silence falls like new snow, while Eleanor breath smokes in short puffs, while Clayton does not reach for her, but lets the quiet speak, till she looks at the fence, then at the door, with its iron horseshoe grip, then nods once as a choice lands in the room, like a beam, set true with no twist left in the grain. Light warms on wall logs till roof shakes cure under sun, while a lean-to kitchen rises from posts that once held a broken gate. And he planes the top rail till grain shines like water at noon, while she salts the sourdough crock, then stamps a loaf flat in a skillet black from good fire. So a cradle waits near the hearth that he carved at night from a split of fir with no flourish, only clean edges that hold oil. She rubs till wood drinks deep, so the child sleeps with one fist high like a little boxer who won by heart. So she steps to the porch to cool the loaf, while 3 tin cups rest in a row on the rail that he washed in snow, till they flashed as a strip of wool lies folded on the bench, dyed pale blue from indigo scraped from an old work shirt with a line of stitches so even they could pass for machine. So she smiles small, then work calls from the low ground where the fence line sags near the creek after frost heave, so they carry posts on a drag made from a burlap sack over 2 poles, while mud sucks at boots, while the sky clots dark, till a squall shoves hail across the flats, like shot from a scattergun. So a steer hits the weak panel at the corral corner, so nails spit from green wood, so the animal bursts through with a ball that rattles the tin. Yet Eleanor runs first with a loop on a short length of rope, then cuts a path across the nose, then slaps the rail with a stick to shift its eye till the animal turns with breath blasting white. So she flips the loop over the horn so Clayton grabs the tail of the rope. So they pull in a slow, smooth draw that tells the beast there is no fight, only direction, till the steer steps back into the pen. So she drops the loop, so he hammers the corner brace. So hail turns to rain, so rain turns to a bright arch on the far ridge, while her hands shake from spent effort. So he looks at her with a face stripped of pride, only awe, only truth. So in town, the clerk now speaks plain with price fair, while the Kowalskis bring a sack of potatoes with no talk of cost. So respect arrives quiet like dawn, not showy real. So nights stretch in peace at last, while she writes to Boston again by lamp, with a request for quick action from a court that moves like winter sap. So the letter sits in the tin box till the next mail wagon. Then he tucks it safe under tarred cloth, then watches that wagon drop over the rise. Then turns home with a stride that fits this road. Then he mends a girth strap with wax thread. Then he oils the draw knife. Then she patches her dress hem with tiny ladder stitches. Then the child lifts a first smile that hits like sun through cloud. So labor binds them tighter than talk ever could. Summer edges in, while meadow grass lifts in slow waves like water under wind. So heat draws pitch from the sill, so the child lies on a blanket with a wooden horse that still holds the scent of fresh shavings, while birds loop over the yard like bits of light loose from the sky. So a freight wagon brings a packet wrapped in brown paper with a thin blue ribbon. Too fine for this road. So Eleanor slices the string with the tip of a small knife, then finds a decree from a court, far from pines, with words dry as dust, with weight heavy as stone, so a chain drops that no eye could see, yet her chest felt with every breath. So she sets the paper in the tin box, then stands in the doorway with the horseshoe handle warm under her palm, while Clayton comes from the pasture with a gate latch he forged from scrap, with a key he ground to fit the lock plate he filed last week, so he sets it in her hand. Metal, cool shape, plain purpose clear, then says, "This is for you." So she turns the key in the new throw, till the bolt slides with a sound like a promise made with work, not words, while dusk gathers soft over the ridge, while smoke lifts in a thin line from the stovepipe, while a strip of cloth moves on the fence in a small wind, while 3 cups wait on the rail, while warm light spills from the window where glass holds it like a pond holds sky. So the child sleeps with lips parted. So she steps onto the porch while he stands at the threshold with hat in the crook of his arm, with jaw easy, with eyes steady, with no crowd, with no badge, with no rich voice from town. Only 2 souls who built what they now touch. So she speaks quiet, so quiet, even the stove seems to listen. Stay. So he answers with a nod that could anchor a house, then sits beside her with shoulders close, though not touching, while night hums, while a coyote calls on the far slope, while an owl lifts from the spruce near the creek, while inside the kettle breathes, while on the table a loaf cools, while on the door the iron key waits in its place, till the dark wraps the cabin like a coat stitched from days of labor and choice and loss survived. So one clean truth stands where talk cannot reach love. Here is proven by chores kept in weather, by rails set true by a rope, drawn at the right beat by bent iron shaped to use by a choice made at dusk, then kept at dawn. Frontier love proves worth through labor patience, quiet courage. Home rises from steady choices under weather, under scrutiny. Honor rests not on paper, but on daily craft, with kept promises. Hope grows where hands build, then stay. Subscribe to Wild Frontier Tales, then ring the bell to never miss stories from the heart of the Wild West.